Hi, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to take a few minutes today and give you a quick energy update because January has been super intense and we are now in February, and I don't really see these energies slowing down. I see the increase in what we've been dealing with. Happening over the next couple of months, going right through to the end of the year. So I will give you the perspective from my own self and then from a planetary perspective. Most of you know my story that in 2015 I had a major template wipe, a major upgrade in October, and was out of commission in bed from the beginning of October right up until January of the new year, which was about 3 months, a 3-month span, just being in bed. It was flu-like. I couldn't move. My whole body was incapacitated. And so when I came out of that, I was really starting to channel very strongly and finding myself connecting at a higher level. And then that year of 2016 brought me a lot of new perspectives that I needed in order to be able to heal what was taking place within my body, as I had a cyst in my Bartholin gland, and surgery was not an option. And so that year was a tremendous year of insight for me with the new mechanics of the body as my higher selves were bringing that information through. And I thought that, over the course of 2018, I had thought I pretty much finished with all, the shifting and the achy, painful experiences like migraines and the pressure in the third eye area of the pineal gland activation, and then neck and shoulder pains and body aches and pains. But what I'm seeing presenting now is the month of January, I was incapacitated twice, where I had to get in bed and just sleep because my body was again going through an upgrade. And these upgrades this time are very intense because if you tune into the frequencies, if you can hear them, right, because the frequencies are what we're perceiving as tinnitus in our ears. It's that ringing or the buzzing or the humming. If you can tune into those frequencies, those are solar frequencies. And so if you can tune into them, each frequency is pertaining to a different energy. So photonic light sounds like one thing, plasma sounds like something else, rainbow light is something else. And so if you're tuning into those frequencies and you've been really paying attention this, especially past year, 2019, you'll see that as we came into January of 2020, those frequencies have changed. They're no longer the same frequencies. They're very different, and it's bringing through a lot of different energy. And especially if we go back to, I think it was around January 11th, 12th, 13th, we were starting another splitting of timelines that was even deeper, more pronounced for us in our field, which is why so many people are feeling extremely emotional and feeling out of sorts these days. And we're seeing a lot of illnesses pop up. These timeline splits are asking us to choose where we're placing our intention for our present moment experience for our now. And so if we're carrying still those old programs and paradigms in our electromagnetic field, we have nothing really to anchor them to anymore, because the third and fourth dimension, those energies are really not in the field of Gaia anymore. We're experiencing them still and running those old programs and paradigms in that matrix because so many people on the earth are still holding and anchoring those third dimensional density in their electromagnetic field, right? And so we're all participating in all realms, third, fourth, and fifth, all at the same time, simultaneously. So when you go into a very blissy, happy feeling, that's you activating that fifth dimensional consciousness that you're already engaged in because you're holding it in your field, right? So all it requires is our awareness that we have access to it and can choose that over something that, was something that is creating sadness or grief from our past. Because when we're going back into the past, we actually have to bring that past forward, right, from wherever that was. So let's say it was, 5 years ago, you uh, experienced some kind of a loss or a separation within a family dynamic, friendship, or relationship, whatever it was, and you're still holding on to that, and that was 5 years ago. You're having to drag that through 5 years worth of timelines all the way into this now moment, which is why we could get stuck there, because we're then having to conjure up the experience of connecting to and feeling into that timeline, that moment. So, and that's why some are having such a difficult time with the emotions that they're feeling, because when we're trying to clear what's coming up, it's not meant for us to sit in it and play into it and try and figure it out or anchor into it. We need to see it, recognize what is presenting, and do our best in that moment to let it go and just release it from our field, right? And timelines can present in very strange and bizarre and unique ways. I had one a couple of weeks ago that was very pronounced. I was on my way to a little coffee shop in one of the local places around here with my friend. And as we were traveling down this long winding road that was kind of quaint in its visual aspect, I all of a sudden started to feel into another version of myself that was more rooted in the third dimensional materialistic world. I had very long straight hair. I was the age I am now. I was, very toned, but when I tuned in, I also had Botox and I guess, some lip injections and stuff like that, because my face looked different. And this was all coming through as a visual in my third eye as I was picking up this timeline, and stuff that I would never do in this present state of being where my highest state of consciousness is presenting. But yet, as this other timeline was presenting, I found that it was a version of me that I was experiencing in my awareness, in my field, where I was carrying, a small designer handbag, like a clutch. And then I was wearing some kind of a velour jumpsuit. Like, all of that is just so not who I am in this present moment now. And my way of being is very simplistic almost, right? And so that version of me was very high end, probably into all the extravagances. And as this was presenting, instead of trying to figure it out or trying to tear it apart or trying to assess it, I just let myself have that experience and sit in there and go, wow, this is feeling weird in my body, the way this feels. And I'm seeing this vision of myself and this version of myself, and just let myself feel into it, just letting it feel into everything that was presenting. And I could feel my root chakra engaged, Kundalini was activating, and the next thing I know, it was like that aspect and me both merged, poof, into this now moment. And that version of myself was no longer in my consciousness. It had integrated into my field, and it was as fast as it came in, and this really only lasted a matter of seconds, right? From the way I'm describing it, it sounds like it might have taken, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, but it didn't. It was a matter of seconds, but my awareness is so great and so focused that I was able to pick this up very, very quickly, because I am so present in all that I do. And so it happened so quickly. But if I wasn't paying attention and didn't recognize this as a timeline merge, from another timeline where I was that version of myself that is playing out in this reality now where I am existing. And that's a lower state of consciousness that just merged into this now moment, because this now moment is where my highest state of consciousness is present. Then I probably would have started thinking, oh, uh, I should have done more with my life. I had this vision of myself wearing this velour jumpsuit looking, amazing, with this long hair and, these crazy nails and all this other stuff. And I might have actually, if I was different and not in my awareness now, gone into a depression thinking that I failed myself in how I'm looking and how I'm dressing, in the amount of money that I have and all of that stuff, when that's not the case at all. All that was a timeline merge that needed to come up, right? And then, of course, as always, because that was a huge timeline that came up that integrated within my now moment, within this current timeline that I'm on, a few days later, I found myself activating new light codes and needing to get into bed to integrate all of that energy, because I was starting to feel achy. My head was pounding from headache, which I never have headaches. The back of my neck and my shoulders were bothering me, which that's the area where light codes come in, and sacred geometry is present. And so I had all of this integration taking place, and I went down with another upgrade, right, as light codes were upgrading in that moment. So I needed to get in bed, but I'm noticing the difference in these upgrades are more intense. And so where I thought I was done with all of that because I had activated all of my light body aspects, I'm seeing that we're actually not done, right? Because this is a process of evolution, and nobody really knows because we've never done this before. Ascension is something that nobody has ever done before, except maybe, 2 or 3 people on the earth plane that have stepped into their highest versions of their selves. And so we're all experiencing this as we're going, kind of like flying by the seat of our pants. So I wanted to come on and talk about this because this is presenting in a way that, if you listen to my video on manifestation, whatever is taking place is not a manifestation anymore, because we're not playing in that third dimensional energy. We're playing in a higher streaming energy where things are happening very, very quickly. Everything is fast paced. So if you are feeling sick and go to the doctor and the doctor tells you that you have a really serious illness or a terminal illness, it's because that energy that you've been carrying is no longer on the slow track of third dimensional energy, where everything took a long time because the density of that dimension was so heavy and viscous. It took a long time for us to manifest good things, and it took us a long time to manifest bad things. Now we're not in that consciousness anymore. We're not in that stream of energy. We're in a higher vibrational energy, and this higher vibrational energy is now allowing for things to show up so much faster, right? I talked about the car that I am enjoying manifesting, which is, of course, tying into my abundance and just my joy in my life, my joyful state of being, and my happy, and it's elevating my ability with my artistic side, which I'm back into painting and drawing and all of that good stuff, right? But every time I play the game with that car and I'm manifesting, it's materializing instantaneously. The blender information showed up instantaneously. And then when I thought about it in the moment of my travels, I thought, well, while I'm here in this store, let me see if they have a blender. And sure enough, there it was. And it was a high-end blender that was on sale in that moment that I picked up at this ridiculous sale price of like $25. And then, of course, I had a 25% off coupon, and they honored that. So, like, how much better could it get, right? But this is where we have to hold our consciousness. And so everybody is going to experience all of this in their own unique way, because, as you know from all of my other talks, we are all on our own individual timelines, which are presenting our unique soul path, and that is something that only we're going to travel, right? So I could talk to you about what these ascension upgrades feel like, right? Or the symptoms, as people like to call them, at what these upgrades are feeling like, but it's going to be different for everybody. Some may be getting dizzy as they are integrating these codes, because codes are not integrating fully and it throws our field off, and then we get a little dizzy. Some might be experiencing nausea, and that, and real deep achy bones is the deepest program that we have, right? And so when we're having nausea or vomiting, we're in a purge. And so everybody is going to be in a different place. When we're getting those hot and cold flashes, plasma makes us incredibly cold, right? And it is the roto-rooter for the energetic body. And the heat is the expansion, the toxins burning off as you're going into a state of expanded consciousness, right? So we heat up to burn off the toxins. Sometimes I am experiencing pressure in the third eye or around the sides of my head. And again, it's just a restructuring of the cranium of your skull. Not to be scary, but that's what it is. The neurological pathways are being restructured. We're changing at a molecular, in a molecular way, right? And at a very quick pace. So everybody's experience is going to be different. And the most important thing that you could do would be to rest and make time for yourself to sleep, because sleep integrates it so fast, right? The second go around that I had, I was experiencing extreme cranial pressure on the sides of my head and my neck, my shoulders, and down my spine, because as you know, I've had a lot of Kundalini activations lately, which is the spine. And my spine just feels mushy sometimes, and it's uncomfortable to lay in bed. It's uncomfortable to sit up, and it's just uncomfortable, and your body is uncomfortable. So, but we have to rest at those times and do the best job that we can resting. So that being said, now I wanted to talk about something really quick, and that has to do with some of the events that are taking place on the earth, right? Some of the fires, the loss of lives, the animals, the coronavirus, the latest tragic crash with Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the other people on board that helicopter. These things present to us for the experience of us expanding our heart center. When we expand into our heart and start to feel into our heart and start to perceive each other as mattering and each other as important, that's how we activate our consciousness and expand our consciousness and come into our ascension, right? So all of these things are showing up. We have to keep in mind that all of the souls participating, whether they're animals or humans, have chosen to do so as their soul contract for whatever it is that soul was needing to experience. And yet in the same moment that soul chose that experience, whether it was a karmic payback or for the purpose of the higher purpose of expanding one's consciousness, it was at a soul level to go in the way that they chose, in the manner that it took place, right? So when those of us are feeling into the animal kingdom and the loss of lives there, that is presenting in one way for one purpose. When we are experiencing the dynamics within the coronavirus, that is really helping us clear fear from our field and not go into a fearful place and support our own physical body, right? When we see the coronavirus, it starts to activate that awareness within us that says, wow, I should really take better care of myself. Maybe I shouldn't eat this and I should eat that. Maybe I need to drink more water. Maybe I need to pay attention more to my physical body, right? And then we see an event like the helicopter crash with Kobe Bryant, and I can't even tell you how many people have reached out to me asking me why something like that happens, that are just starting to become aware of themselves in their heart center, in their consciousness, and are crying because of that event, and starting to see how important life is and how connected we all are to each other, right? So in that event happening, those souls that passed in that way actually helping and assisting and supporting humanity in opening their heart and coming back into love. This is so powerful. I can't even explain to you how powerful this is. And so if for a moment you think about any of those circumstances taking place, no matter what it is that's happening in the world, one is come back within yourself and bring yourself back into love. Self-love is so critical right now. 2, find love for those around you, because that's what this is doing. It's pushing us into heart expansion so that you can open to loving those around you who maybe are not capable of meeting you in love in this moment now. And 3 is it's creating this greater awareness of how connected we all are, and that there is a greater purpose for what is transpiring and for what is taking place. And as this is all playing out, it assists us and supports us in letting go of fear of these circumstances playing out, knowing that we are all here to do our part to share in the experience that we're all having together. So I just wanted to leave you with that, because, we didn't learn about soul contracts in school. Most don't even really understand what a soul blueprint is, or a soul contract, or a soul plan. And so this is an important part of our birthright, what we came here to do. It's based at the soul level. We are on a pathway now of ascension, which is all about activating into a higher state of consciousness through opening our heart center and expanding ourselves into love, not just with everyone else, but within ourselves. And in doing so, we bring in more of our higher self, right? So hopefully something that I've said here resonates with you, and you can find comfort in knowing that everything is playing out for the purpose of bringing us back into a greater state of love, a deeper state of love. And so with that, thank you so much for tuning in once again. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. If you felt something resonated with you here, please tune back in. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. Click the bell so that you get notified when a new video is available. And know that I am streaming light and love your way. I love you. Thank you again. Have a great day.